Hi, I'm Michelle of A Human Being.
And I'm Connor.
And this is Girlfriend Explain Now! I need to know what's going on.
And I'm the boyfriend.
How are you doing, Connor?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I feel like a vacuum bag in the wind
Yeah.
after I just cleaned up a bunch of dust.
You have been working pretty tirelessly on this episode.
I need to stop. I need to stop. I need to be locked in a room with nothing, just my thoughts and a pack of cards and and some time.
Yeah. Well, I can tell how hard you've been working on it, and I still don't know anything about the episode, but I know you said this has been a very well requested topic.
This is our most requested episode ever.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, that's very exciting.
So we do need to give some shout outs because these are some names and some people who dropped this suggestion into our suggestion box. So we need to thank you all right now. Ready? Okay. We need to improvise a song.
I was about to ask if you were going to improvise a little song.
Yeah, well, you're going to help me.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Here we go.
Brooke and Anne and Blue Cherry
and
Chris
and Juan
or Wan
Mackenzie D.
Lizzie and Robin Maria Kayaza Kayla
and Alexa. These are Santa's reindeer. Thank you very much. And if you would like for our beautiful voices to sing you an original song, you can if you just drop a suggestion in our suggestion box, which is linked below.
And if we just sang your songs and you want to send us a cease and desist, our lawyer's information will be linked in the description below.
And we will not fight it. We will settle out of court. So, today we will be discussing the shy girl controversy, which I think you know a little something about.
I obviously have heard the name Shy Girl. I've seen it on some video recommendations. And by virtue of us living together, I know that it is about AI potentially and writers potentially.
Yes.
Which covers a broad spectrum of things.
That could mean literally anything.
Yeah.
Our last AI author episode covered a woman who's dating an Irish octopus AI named Sinclair. So from there, really anything can happen. It's that Ellie Goulding song. It really is. That's what we're living in.
Oh, boy.
So I titled this first chapter, You, Me, and the Ghost in the Machine.
Oh, boy.
I love a little drama. So I want to make some admissions right up here at the top before we get started. When ChatGPT was first released, like a flock of hairless parrots in November 2022, I was uninterested. I had scripts in progress, confidence in my writing. I had my mom to listen to my monologues about the evils of leaf blowers, which I still believe, and I'll die on that hill. That leafy hill. You want to engage with me on this?
It'll remain leafy because there's no leaf blowers.
Exactly.
Is that what you're going after? Yeah.
What I'm saying is I really didn't crave AI assistance or computerized companionship, so it just wasn't. I was not the target demographic.
Yeah.
But as the months and my unemployment trudged on, I grew restless and bored. One of the worst things about being absolutely broke is the lack of access to fun, especially in a city where a martini sets you back 21 buckaroos. So I did what any self-respecting writer does when the big sads hit and sleep disappears. I started writing a fantasy series. It was big and complex. It's not a genre I am super familiar with beyond like the big hits, the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbits, and that's it, those ones. And I'd never done it before, but suddenly I had a lot of ideas. I built a map, I had a cast list, bios, beats, a seasonal structure, and I hit pedal to the metal.
Wow. This is going to be a series.
Yes, a television series.
That's yes. Wonderful.
And I very quickly became overwhelmed. Fantasy is very hard.
It is.
There are a lot of moving pieces in fantasy. So in the summer of 2024, I tried ChatGPT. This is embarrassing for me to admit now, but I want to be honest here at the front before we get into the real crap sandwich. I didn't want it to write for me. Hello, that's the fun part. But I thought it might be able to help me solve logic problems. It could not. It forgot details, glazed over things, and made generally bad, nonsensical decisions. So I thought, okay, maybe it can help with research. It could not. It gave me unsubstantiated claims and pitched them as fact. When I tried to use it as a translator, it made up words.
Really?
Yes. Okay, so maybe it should be reserved for non-creative work, like bulking up resumes and LinkedIn pages. It could not. It repeated itself, miscalculated basic equations, used empty phrasing, where there are words on a page, but they don't really mean anything. Like you have just as much information at the beginning of the sentence as you do at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I have a passion for creating impactful and engaging stories that resonate with audiences. That's literally just the definition of a writer. I have a passion for my passion.
I have a passion
that gives me more data than like. So after about 30 days of trying to find its utility, I stopped using it. It was like a baby. You want them to do things on their own, but holy shit, at some point you just have to scrub the muffin tin the right way. Anytime OpenAI announced an update, I would try it out again. Usually for resumes, I was unemployed for a good stretch of time.
Yeah.
And it just couldn't perform. I had to rewrite everything it gave me. So it only wasted time and, as it turns out, a lot of water. In 2025, I learned more about its energy usage and political implications and Sam Altman, the alien pretending to be a human being, and I stopped using it altogether. Now, when I see something has been affected by AI in any way, shape, or form, it turns me off and I really try to steer clear. That's my journey with AI. And while I expect all of our journeys to and from AI will vary somewhat, I also suspect that the lines quickly become parallel. There's curiosity, openness to the new, disappointment when it turns out to not be that great, and then swiftly disgust and abandonment. I stand pretty staunchly against the use of generative AI in any capacity because I've experienced firsthand what it is completely incapable of doing, which is everything you would want it to do. So let's talk about Mia Ballard.
Okay.
Mia Ballard's journey through the AI woods has been flecked with thorns, not so many briar roses. Hold your applause for that. According to Hachette's website, she is, quote, an American poet and fiction writer. She loves all things horror and is passionate about writing stories focused on feminine rage. She lives with her partner and dog in Northern California. Her bio on Amazon gives us a little more info. Quote, Mia Ballard is of African American and Native American heritage and has been writing since she was just 10 years old. Passionate about true crime and horror, she loves writing stories about unhinged women and women's issues. She currently writes and resides in California with her partner and adorably anxious Springer Spaniel, end quote. Mia did mention in a previous interview with Bookster that she lives with OCD, and that's going to be relevant later. I'm not just dropping that fun little fact. So Mia Ballard writes horror and femme gore. That's her bread and oil.
Femme gore?
Yeah, like gore, but like feminine. It's a thing. She cites Otessa Moshfegh and Mona Awad as sources of inspiration. Big book talk girls, both of them. I think a lot of young women are inspired by authors like Otessa Moshfegh and are perhaps misunderstanding what makes that writing actually click for them. I feel like Jeanette McCurdy's new book, Half His Age, fell into a couple of similar traps that we're going to talk about. Like shock for the sake of shock value is a big problem with Jeanette McCurdy, I think. But it doesn't reveal character or explore mental illness as much as it is just gross. That's like a trap of gore and horror, is like, it's not scary if we don't know why something is happening or if we don't care about the people we're reading about.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of media that kind of exists with that. I read a lot of fantasy. One kind of subgenre of fantasy is called like grimdark fantasy. Yeah. And it became popular kind of in the late 2000s, early 2010s mostly. And there were some series in the 80s and 90s that kind of started the grimdark thing.
Yes.
And what tends to separate like the series that are considered good grimdark and what series that are separated from bad grimdark are the bad ones usually just have an excess of terrible things happening to characters by usually terrible characters.
Yes.
Mostly in the form of like assault or murder or, babies dying, that kind of thing.
What if this entire family had sex with a goat?
Right.
And what if the goat gave birth to weird half human, half goat babies?
Right.
It's like, it's just there to shock you. But It's not that shocking, actually. Because you don't care, because you're not emotionally invested,
I know there was that series called The Boys I think it's on Amazon.
Yes.
I watched the first couple seasons of that, and I started to feel like that show leaned into that aspect of the show a little bit too much. It sucks because it takes away from the enjoyment of the thing.
Yes. You know what it reminds me of a little bit? It reminds me, trigger warning, everybody, I'm bringing up theater school, so can lock in. But it reminds me, I went to college with this very attractive man who never memorized a single line ever for anything he was ever in. He just rolled in like Marlon Brando and mumbled and then went home and had sex with his gorgeous girlfriend who was a ballerina. It was insane. One time he wrote, quote unquote, a play. I think he literally just spoke into his voice memo, like in his phone, made a voice memo and then like wrote down, like transcribed whatever he said in it like last minute. And he did this like little one-man show and the professor was like, okay, what's the point of this? What are you trying to do? I'm really confused. And he was like, that's the point. I really want to confuse you. And everybody in the room went, oh. I felt the floor vibrate with, oh. That's what that reminds me of.
Yeah.
But Mia Ballard had carved out a pretty cozy space for herself in the self-publishing space. She released her debut novel, Sugar, in October 2024, and a novella titled We All Rot Eventually in December 2024.
Okay, I have seen that one.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
We All Rot Eventually. Yeah, I recognize that title and I can picture the cover in my mind.
Yeah, it's purple. It looks like alphabet soup kind of.
Yes,
yeah,
that's right.
That timing rings a little suspicious to me.
Okay, why?
Well, first book was published in October, second book in December. That's pretty quick.
Of the same year?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That is
for a whole ass book.
That is very quick.
That's pretty quick. So yeah, that timing rings suspicious to me, but it is possible that she had been working on these titles for a long time and just decided to self-publish them at around the same time, like back to back. So that's totally possible. Shy Girl was her third release, and that came out in February 2025. That is a really rigorous publishing schedule.
So one in, you said October.
One in October, one in December, one in February.
Jesus.
That's 2 months in between.
Yeah, unless she was sitting on those manuscripts.
Right.
Right. Like, that's not uncommon. Brandon Sanderson, kind of as part of his story, he wrote 6 novels that didn't get published or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he was sitting on those manuscripts for a very long time after his first book got published.
Yeah, I could see it where you want to pursue traditional publishing and you query and you try and then you don't hear anything. And at some point you're like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to self-publish. And then if you get some success there, you're like, well, great. Maybe there's room for this other book too.
Yeah.
So I could see that. But that is something that flagged for me. Wanted to mention it. So what is Shy Girl actually about? Do you have any idea?
No.
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
A woman with untreated OCD is kidnapped by her sugar daddy, who then forces her to act like his dog until she literally transforms into one.
Fucking what?
Yeah. Is this not ringing true to your experience as a beautiful white man? It's horror. It's supposed to be like body horror. And I'm assuming it's meant to be a character study in how abuse changes the mind and also the body. It is ringing a little similar to another book called Night Bitch, which was another successful book talk book about a stay-at-home mom who starts transforming into a dog.
Yes. I believe they adapted that into a movie that my friend worked on.
Yeah. Amy Adams?
Yes.
You're friends with Amy Adams?
No, but I am friends with
Why
somebody
is she not here?
who worked on that movie.
Bring Amy Adams over for dinner. What are you doing? So, this is a personal note. I love books about fucked up women, but I like when women are doing the fucking up.
Gotcha.
I don't love books about a woman suffering.
Yeah.
I'm alive. Like
put that on a t-shirt.
I've read about like the medical industry treating women horribly. That's something my friends and I talk about all the time. I mean, this is a very familiar thing to me. So we know when I open up a book, I don't need to see myself there on the page. So I also have a hard time with body horror because the body is disgusting when everything is fine and nothing hurts. So regardless of my feelings, the book made some rounds on TikTok. Part of that might have had something to do with the cover. Now, I know we like to say don't judge a book by its cover, but human beings are visual creatures. So we're all judging books by their covers a little bit. I mean, come on.
Always.
Thank you. So Shy Girl was initially self-published in February 2025, and it looked like this. We're going to throw up a picture. The original cover features a light gray whippet dog with its head down, a shimmering ribbon wrapped around its thin neck against the backdrop of a baby blue sky. I like this cover something awful.
Yeah.
I would pick this up if I'm at a bookstore.
Is that right?
It's stunning. It's gorgeous. It is eye-catching and totally stands out in a sea of animated couples looking sassily at one another across a sports field of some kind. It's a really pretty piece. It is also 100% stolen.
Stolen?
Yeah. Wynne Lewis, Artists have the best names. Just as a side note, Wynne,
Win.
Are You a Beautiful Tree? Wynne Lewis is a Scottish artist who's been working professionally since 1995.
Oh, wow.
Much of her work features animals in unique poses against a high contrast background. And this piece up on the screen now is titled Dreamer, and it features a light gray whippet with its head down with a shimmering blue ribbon around its thin neck. It's exactly the same picture.
Really?
Slightly different background. Mia supposedly responded to these allegations of theft on Instagram, though I cannot find that initial post anywhere. She has pretty thoroughly scrubbed her social media presence
Is that
at this
right?
point. Yes. So I did find this post on a legal advice forum, although there's no definitive way to know for sure if this was actually written by Mia, so we're taking it with a spoonful of salt.
I see.
But this is what it says, quote, I self-published a book titled Shy Girl, and at the time used an artwork I found on Pinterest. The image was already manipulated/edited, and I could not identify or trace the original artist, who I now know is Wynne Lewis, end quote. I just want to pause here and push on that a little bit. Google Lens exists. You can take a snapshot of something and Google search it from there. I'm telling you, these two images are exactly the same. The only difference is that Wynne Lewis's background is dark blue and Mia's is light blue. That's the only difference.
Well, and if you see a painting and you can't find the source of it, it's really, get curious a little bit, right? Most people would go, oh, who painted this? Paintings don't just exist.
No.
They don't just appear out of thin air.
Pinterest is not just all public domain images.
No.
So, but let's continue with her statement here. Quote, I admit I did not do sufficient research to locate the artist because I did not expect the book to reach a large audience. I assumed only a few people would ever read it. However, the book became unexpectedly successful and was later picked up by a publisher. We're going to talk about that in a second, which resulted in the original image being circulated more widely. My publisher initially considered reaching out to the artist, but ultimately decided to change the cover completely. The artwork in question is no longer being used, nor is it being sold by me or my publisher. That said, the image is still connected online to my book, which is why this issue has resurfaced. Wynne Lewis has now contacted me directly and requested that I disclose all royalties earned from the book due to the infringement, as well as take down any remaining use of her artwork, which I have already done. I can provide you with the full email she sent. I am seeking legal counsel both at her request and to de-escalate the situation, end quote. So in summary, she admitted that she found the original image on Pinterest and never contacted the original artist. She only contacted the user on Pinterest who posted it, who doesn't own the image.
No.
So she zhuzhed it up a little bit, and bada bing, she had an eye-catching free cover for her book. It strains credulity that Mia didn't know that this qualified as theft. At the very least, it shows a real lack of veracity, and at worst, it hints at a pattern of purposeful deception and thwarting accountability.
Yeah, that's tricky. Because the thing is, like, the lack of follow through on that, on seeing a piece on the internet and just not even, there's a certain amount of due diligence. If you're self-publishing, if you're going to be self-publishing,
yes,
you act as a lot of your own things. You act as your own marketing team, you act as your own design team, and you have to act as your own legal team in some cases. And so part of that requires that you do the best job possible that you can. And you can't just steal artwork from the internet and use it to sell your book.
This argument too, like, I didn't know the book was going to be so popular. You hear this argument a lot in internet speak when people, like, their old tweets surface, or like a joke that they make at their husband's expense goes weirdly viral, and now 22 million people are being like, you need to divorce him, he looks awful. And people always say that. They're like, I didn't expect this to go viral. I think we've all been living with the internet long enough now that, you know, at any second, for any reason, it can go viral.
Absolutely.
There is like very little math to this madness. Do you remember that woman who went absolutely feral viral for saying demure?
Yes.
She was just talking about makeup in her car. The next minute, she's being spoken about like on Jimmy Kimmel.
That's
like
crazy.
The insane like rise to crazy town.
Yeah, I mean, just You used to be, you just would joke around with your friends in high school, and then suddenly now you say "damn Daniel" on a Vine, and you're on Ellen for some reason
Yeah.
on national TV.
An inside joke is suddenly outside.
Yes.
And everyone can hear you.
I totally agree with you. I feel like we have been living with the internet and with social media and with this concept of virality and memes for too long to not have that as a consideration in your mind. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure I've said this on the podcast before, but my mom used to manage the like counties. She used to manage like local governments that we lived in.
Exhausting.
She got sued all the time.
I would flip out, Connor. I would flip out.
And one thing that she told me was, don't ever do something that you wouldn't want to end up on the front page of the newspaper.
Mm.
And that's how she had to think. She's like, when I make a decision when I'm in office, I have to really consider how much I believe in that decision, because it will end up on the front page of the newspaper, whether I like it or not.
Right.
And it will get twisted in a way that is dishonest, whether I like it or not. So I have to be very sure that what I'm doing is right by me and is true to what I think. So I think people, I don't know, that's also my approach to the internet to some degree. I try to not put things of myself on the internet that are not going to look good. What if this thing gets 1 million views? How would I feel?
Right.
Right? If 1 million people I don't know saw this thing and this was their first impression of me, how would I feel?
I always think it'd be kind of funny to just at some random point break out my boobs. I just think that's funny. That's class A comedy to me.
Classic comedy.
But I have to imagine, like, oh, dude, what if my dad sees this video?
Right.
Like, I don't think my dad really uses YouTube.
Right.
But, you know, the way that things work, I just know I'd break out one titty and suddenly dad's he's like, I found your YouTube channel. Immediately saw your nipple. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
So it keeps me cautious.
God forbid I become a clip on like a political talking head show that I want nothing to do with. You know what I mean? I don't want Ben Shapiro pointing at a picture of me and going, look at this guy.
He can. Let his nubby little fingers do it. Whatever. So it is difficult to tell because I'm not Mia Ballard's personal assistant or friend or foe. I don't know her. So it's hard to tell if she's playing dumb here or if she genuinely just made a mistake. I think something that can help determine what could be going on here is looking at her past actions. So her first book, Sugar, has what appears to be an AI-generated image as the cover. Mia received some questions about this a year or so ago, and she actually replied on Goodreads saying, I found the image on the cover on a public domain website and manipulated it and transformed the image into my own. I have a background in graphic design and created the cover of Sugar myself through Photoshop. I have no idea if the original photo was AI generated, but I changed it and it made it my own without any help from AI. Hope this answer was satisfactory. Once again, this would not be difficult information to find. There's a website that I use a lot for my Substack. It is a public domain image website.
Yeah.
And they do have AI generated images on that website, but there's a tag that says that. So if I click on something and because I like it and I want to use it, but it says AI generated, I can just flip it out and exit out and use something else.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy to reverse image something in this post Catfish the TV show world.
Yeah.
Again, I think this is showing a lack of veracity and a lack of interest in doing research.
I know. And, you know, not to play devil's advocate, but it is becoming increasingly, as time marches forward, it is becoming increasingly difficult to differentiate between AI generated images and non-AI generated images. And it'll only get harder, you know. But again, due diligence. There is a way to do it, right? There is a way to ethically source images. There is a way to produce images without the use of AI, without the use of AI generating websites, like that kind of thing.
There are so many museums that offer their most classic works as downloadable JPEGs that you can use around the world.
Yes.
So there's really no excuse for this. I do want to show you this image.
Please.
Because there are some pretty unignorable hallmarks of AI here to me. Connor has a little background in graphic design, by the way.
I do. Yeah.
What do you notice?
Shadows are messed up. The cheek is insane.
The teeth.
The teeth are wild. I was going to mention the teeth.
There's an odd gap, canine tooth.
There's one that's got a weird texture to it, which could almost be like a design thing, but the fact that it's not used in the rest of the image tells me that that's just kind of like an artifact of generation.
Yeah.
Again, the cheek on the right side is not at all even with the cheek on the left side. So that could be a purposeful choice, but I don't think it is. There's texture in the shadow in some parts of shadows without texture in parts of other shadows. Yeah, the thing is, this is like too much to be messy graphic design done by an amateur. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have the marks of somebody who doesn't know what they're doing.
No, it has the marks of AI.
It does.
But what do we always say?
What do we always say?
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
Let's judge the book by the book. And people did.
Oh boy.
So once Shy Girl was publicly available, the reviews started to roll in.
Okay.
Some were positive, others were not. A lot of early reviewers pointed out that the writing was reminiscent of ChatGPT gobbledygook.
Shy Girl is a scream against the cage of expectation, where justice isn't quiet, it's bloody and unapologetic. I know this is trying to be poetic, but genuinely, what is a scream against the cage of expectation?
When I glance in the mirror, my reflection looks stripped down, utilitarian. I feel like I've stepped outside myself, like I'm preparing a mannequin for something it won't remember.
Oh boy.
Joanna Kimber pointed this out in her video, which will be linked below along with all of my other show notes. Even readers who don't outright proclaim that AI has been used point out that the book is criminally under-edited. And these AI speculations are not new to Mia Ballard either. They stretch back to her other books as well.
Is that right?
Not just to the covers, but to the content of the books themselves. This has been a speculation circling Mia Ballard her entire career.
There's one point in the book where it flips out of Satara's POV and into another character for a sentence. Never mind the grammatical errors. Remember what I said about certain mistakes that a human is just not going to make? It doesn't matter how much of an amateur writer you are. You might accidentally switch into another POV for an entire chapter or do it experimentally, even though it's not a good idea, by which your editor would tell you, don't do that. But you're not going to do that for a singular sentence. This review is from August last year on a completely different book. There are other reviews just like this under Sugar where people are speculating that it was written with AI from way before Shy Girl was even a thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And to keep pointing out, her career has been very short to this point.
Yeah, she started in late 2024.
Right.
This publishing schedule has been back to back to back 3 books, bam.
Right.
Now we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mia is also selling 4 AI-generated coloring books on her Amazon storefront.
Oh, Jesus.
One of them is titled Wagstaff School Shenanigans, and I recognize that name because Connor and I watch Bob's Burgers literally every night before we go to bed.
Yes, we
and that
do.
is where the kids go to school, is
They
Wagstaff.
They go to Wagstaff High School.
Yeah. So here's a quote from the Amazon page for this Wagstaff coloring book. Step into the zany world of Wagstaff School with this delightful coloring book inspired by the beloved TV show. Join Jean, Louise, and Tina Belcher as they navigate the hilarious and relatable moments of school life. End quote. Now listen, it is important to point out that the coloring book characters look nothing like the TV show characters.
Okay.
Because that would be a lawsuit.
That would be an incredible lawsuit. And I would argue that even that description is bordering on the edge of cease and desist.
Yeah. There also appears to be a printing error on the back because it says, "Thank you to our valued customers. We would be grateful," and then it just stops. There is also a copyright notice, but you cannot copyright AI-generated material.
No.
Especially if it's based on a pre-existing work, which this is.
Absolutely not.
So she's using generative AI, which is built on stolen work, to generate something based on stolen work. This might sound like I'm being nitpicky and circling around the point, but behavior is a language and I want to hear what she's saying. Shy Girl was picked up by Hachette Book Group, a major publishing house, in July 2025 to be traditionally published in the US in May 2026.
And Hachette is a massive publishing house.
It's one of the big 5, maybe.
I only know them from, they have an imprint called Orbit that does a lot of like science fiction and some fantasy novels.
I think Orbit is the imprint that picked up Shy Girl.
Is that right?
Yes, because all of this speculation is going on. People are like, is it AI generated? I'm not really sure, but a lot of people are picking it up and reading it. And a lot of them are citing the beautiful cover as the reason they picked up this self-published book.
Yeah, I mean,
So
here's the thing. It sounds, I think, to some people who aren't in the media, entertainment, or literary space, like going back to that artist, that
Win Lewis.
yeah, Win Lewis.
Yeah.
One of the things that artist wanted was for Mia to kind of like relinquish the royalties that she had made from the book because of the stolen artwork on the cover, right?
Mhm.
That sounds kind of extreme.
It is not.
Until you realize like the cover is the only form of marketing in a store that the book actually gets.
Yes.
Right? We like to say don't judge a book by its cover, but that is the only thing you have to judge a book by if you have no idea what's going on.
Also, what do popular books do? Like publishers republish them with special editions, with sprayed edges, leather bound. Now it's signed. Like the cover, the packaging is part of the thing. The same way that presentation is part of a Michelin star restaurant.
Yes, absolutely. So it is no small thing that artwork is stolen and that artists are taken advantage of when it comes to book cover design.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Win Lewis was well within her rights to do that. When Hachette was made privy to this whole cover situation, they voted to just get a new one altogether. I'm sure Hachette and Mia both wanted to brush that little problem right under the rug and then burn the rug alive
as quickly as possible.
quickly as possible.
I'm honestly surprised, like, if the allegations with how absolutely radioactive AI allegations are in the literary space right now, I'm so surprised Hachette didn't like go total isolation, what's the word? Quarantine on this project.
Well, there might be a good reason for that.
Oh boy.
So the replacement cover for the US edition and the UK version are very similar. They kind of maintain the spirit of the original cover, but they look a little bit different. Let's talk about Hachette Book Group just a little bit, just to give everybody an idea of how big this publishing company is.
Sure.
Hachette Book Group, which I've been calling Hachette for all of my years on this earth, is one of the big 5 publishing companies. N.K. Jemisin, Malcolm Gladwell, Donna Tartt, Malala Yousafzai, their associated writers have been awarded Pulitzer Prizes, National Book Awards, Newbery Medals, Booker Prizes, Nobel Peace Prizes, etc. Last year, they generated $3.5 billion in revenue, making them the 3rd largest publisher in the United States, publishing an estimated 3,700 titles every year.
That's insane.
That is how big Hachette is. In November 2025, Shy Girl was released in the UK and sold about 1,800 copies. On January 19th, so only about 2 months later, YouTube creator Frankie's Shelf uploaded a 2-hour, 40-minute long video titled, "I'm Pretty Sure This Book is AI Slop." In this video, I've watched the entire thing twice. In this video, Frankie combs through Shy Girl with a fine-toothed comb, virtually line by line.
Oh boy.
And points out every characteristic of this book that gestures towards AI use. This book repeats turns of phrase and words throughout. Everything is sharp. Everything hums. Everything echoes. Her thoughts are spiraling and also unrecognizable. It repeats these same phrases over and over again.
Interesting.
The word that really comes up a lot is sharp. Everything in this world is sharp.
Sharp.
There are lots of echoes and edges. It will describe her movements as fluid, and then 3 sentences later, they're sharp and feral.
Time doesn't have edges. She's the kind of woman who blends into the edges of a man's life. She feels the edges of her fantasy. The edge of confusion creeps into her voice. Something urgent claws at the edges of her day. The edges of the day feel sharp. Her voice is brittle at the edges. She feels the edges of herself fray. The edge of the silence cuts deep. Time is a creature with no edges. The edges of his voice are clipped clean. The edges of the weeks blur. Time's edges are frayed. The days bleed into each other with no clean edges. Her memories are distant. Their edges fraying. The edges of the shadows blur and fade, and on and on.
How'd that happen?
I don't know.
I don't know. The villain literally taps on his chin while monologuing about his evil deeds. Similes are used improperly and communicate 0 additional detail. Here's a quote. He tells her that she'll sleep here every night in a way that is matter of fact, like he's explaining a schedule, end quote.
Oh man.
because that's what he's doing every night. That's a schedule.
And that's what explaining a schedule is.
Yes, I think my all-time favorite quote is this: "The sight of seeing him." I did not write down the rest of that sentence. I had stopped there.
And as they sit there, the silence between them stretches, each second marked like the tick of a clock. Guys, the seconds passed like they do on a clock. Isn't that meaningful to you? Doesn't that bring up such vivid imagery for you?
You know what this reminds me of is the Age of Scorpius, some of the excerpts you read from Age of Scorpius.
Oh dear. The weight of societal pressure on my shoulders or
Right.
something. Just like dramatic, overly purple, flowery prose that doesn't actually mean anything.
Uh-huh.
One page, Mia uses a simile 10 times. The black watch on his wrist stands out, like it's a part of him. Like men who wear their time like a badge, like they might lose it if they're not careful. He hugs me strangely, like I'm his buddy. His eyes settle on me, like he's collecting data. His eyes are still on me, like he's trying to see past the mask I've so carefully constructed. Happens on every single page.
The book is also not formatted properly. There are so many random blank spaces where paragraphs just end in the middle of a sentence and then pick up like 6 enters later. Also, in the middle of the book, there's just a big empty page.
What?
How did that happen? Nobody caught this.
Now, this is the version that Hachette has published, right?
I believe so, yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a big oversight.
Big problem.
Wow. Because like, you know, if you're self-publishing, like mistakes happen with self-publishing.
Yes.
Because you have to do your own formatting or you have to pay somebody to do your own formatting. But in a perfect world, if you are traditionally published, the publisher has in-house people who are going to take care of the formatting of your book, right?
Yes. Now, I do want to note, Frankie is holding up the self-published version because
Okay.
Frankie has an early version of the book.
Gotcha.
But people who have the UK version have also pointed out these same problems are present.
Oh, interesting.
The book has not been edited.
So it's not even like a problem with the advanced reader copy. It's
No.
like,
It's not like, oh yeah, printer problem. That's the book.
man,
That's Shy Girl.
that's rough.
So just how repetitive is this book? Let's talk numbers. Frankie gives a lot of numbers. The book is 214 pages long, but considering all of the formatting errors, it's probably closer to 175. It's a very short, skinny book.
Wow.
There's also a slew of repeated words like unrelenting 28 times. Low as a descriptor is used 51 times. Heavy is used 74 times. Edge is used 84 times. And sharp is used 159 times.
So the word edge almost appears on every single page of this book.
And sharp definitely does. In 175 pages of prose, that's maddening.
Yeah.
Everything is sharp. Literally, everything is sharp.
That's crazy.
Gia's OCD is also underexplored and mostly centers around folding clothes and having a nighttime routine. You know, that's not my experience. Hey, everybody hurts.
I mean, I've folding clothes and having a nighttime routine.
That's so reminiscent of people who like when labels are facing outwards and they go, sorry, I
Sure.
just have a little OCD. I thought we were beyond that understanding of what OCD is.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. It's.
She likes folding her clothes. That's it.
And she likes going to bed at roughly the same time every night.
That's Connor. I guess you have OCD, baby.
Yeah.
You're just too organized. And about halfway through the book, OCD is not mentioned anymore. She just drops that inconvenient character quirk like a hot bag of soup.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah.
Do you think it was to try and hit some kind of potential quota, like tag quota for the book?
Maybe. Now, I'm cynical. So I'm interpreting this lack of curiosity, specifically the OCD lack of curiosity, as a marketing gimmick. It can be a badge of honor to say, this book explores the unexplorables of mental illness. Which is not true if your character just has a mental illness and there's no depth of curiosity to explore how that actually impacts her life, her relationships, her sleeping patterns, her poop schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you get to say that you're exploring the unexplorables if you don't explore it.
No, that's the thing. Having a character, this is kind of I'm sure there's a broader conversation here about representation, but having a character in any piece of media, whether it's film, television, books, whatever, just exist with a thing is not nearly as impactful as exploring a character's thing that they're existing with. You know what I mean? Having a character that folds clothes and goes to bed at the same time every night if we're even stretching that as far as we can, that doesn't actually mean anything
No.
in terms of exploring what it's like to live with OCD.
So I know a few people in the film industry who try to sell their screenplays by claiming that it explores female madness. And it doesn't. It's just a buddy comedy starring their friend from NYU and an orangutan. But it can feel tempting to make our work sound more culturally impactful than it actually is. It's a sales tactic.
Yeah, everything is sales.
Yes, to convince people to invest in us. I'd bet that the reason so many authors have been exposed for faking their race and sex and God knows what else are operating under that same umbrella. Well, I need to stand out. Well, they need a reason to buy into me. And maybe I don't feel good enough about my book or my writing or my work to lean on that entirely.
Absolutely.
So I need to give myself something else. That way you can tell the publishing company, you're not just publishing a book, you're publishing a lady book.
Yeah.
And that makes you really important.
Well, and that's the thing. Like I've been in these meetings with at film markets and stuff where they talk about, okay, what is it? What are the hot topics? What are the tags you can put onto the thing? What are some things we can show on the poster or in the trailer that'll get butts in seats, right?
You know what I say to that? That's a marketing team's job.
I
That
agree.
is not your job as an artist. That is not my job to know what word is trending in Indonesia.
Yeah.
And wow, the CEO really wants to corner the Indonesian film market because he wants a third house in a warm climate.
Mm-hmm.
That is so not my job and not the reason that I write anything. But these people who do this think it gives them a leg up in an incredibly competitive and harsh industry, which I think is pathetic and cowardly. Get good. How about try? How about write something that you genuinely care about and then you won't have to perform for the rest of your life? You want rewards for trying less, for taking up a spot that someone else deserved, for lying to people who showed up for you? Hard pass. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Another logic snag in Shy Girl for readers is this. At some point, Gia, the main character, escapes from this sugar daddy's house. He's kidnapped her and forcing her to live like this dog, right?
Right.
And after 2 years of this, of walking around on all fours, she manages to escape by standing up and running across a lawn like grown-up Bambi. No muscle atrophy, no wobbly knees, no vertigo even. Like, this is supposed to be a body horror. Where's the body? Where's the horror of the body? You know, I was in a coma for 36 hours and I couldn't poop like a person for 2 weeks.
Yeah. No, not moving or moving in a way your body's not supposed to move for any amount of time does a number on you.
One of my favorite things about this book is how it ends. She's been held captive for 7 years.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
She is a missing person. The kidnapper has shown her a missing persons poster proving this. People are out looking for her. They know that she's a missing person. She didn't just fall off the cliff and disappear. And when she finally walks out of that house as a free woman, her car is just sitting in the driveway, full of gas, with functioning brakes and fresh oil, and she drives into the sunset.
Incredible.
What?
What an ending.
The book was pitched as a female rage revenge story. And that doesn't really kick in until the last 3 pages. This is a torture novel. And then in the last 3 pages, she gets a little good revenge in on him.
Sure.
That left the angry women in the room feeling a little cheated, which I think is more than fair.
Yeah. What are you looking for in your kind of fucked up woman angry revenge books?
I really love characters who get obsessed with petty things and just let it drive them up the wall. Like, it starts with let's say a traffic incident. Somebody rear ends you, scratches up your bumper a little bit, drives away, doesn't exchange insurance information with you. And for the rest of the book, she's just haunted by that. Like, if I see that guy, what if that guy's in the grocery store right now? What if he's with his kid? You know what I'd do? And then I'd kill him in broad daylight in front of the cops.
We're going to have to censor some of this.
I'm just saying, like, that's exciting to
Yeah,
me. Just the escalation from something so small to, the Ted Kaczynski effect.
Right.
Like, starts off with something so understandable, and at some point there's a bomb. And you're like, how? Okay.
Right.
How did we get here? This novel overall is really aching for some specificity. which is ironic because in an interview with Bookster, Mia herself said, quote, "What I love about modern horror is that it's no longer afraid to be specific," end quote. And this is the least specific book I have ever laid mine eyes upon.
Yeah, it's like it sounds like there's no specificity in this book.
No. I couldn't give you one adjective for this main character.
Sharp?
Not even. It doesn't even apply. So Mia actually commented on Frankie's video.
Oh, really?
Yes, this is what she said. "Hello, Frankie. This is genuinely heartbreaking to write because I've been a fan of your channel for a long time, but I do need to clarify a few things. I did not edit or format Shy Girl myself. At the time, I didn't have the money for a professional editor or formatter. Those services are expensive, and I was working on a broken laptop doing the best I could with what I had. Someone in my writing group offered to help and assured me she'd do a thorough job, so I trusted her. In the process, she also changed a lot of the wording and encouraged me to lean more poetic because that's my background, and I listened. I should have done one final careful pass before publishing, and that's on me, but the formatting and editing issues being pointed out are not present in the traditionally published edition." That's not true. A lot of, again, this is an almost 3-hour-long video. Frankie is extremely thorough.
Mm-hmm.
Almost all of these problems are also present in the traditionally published.
Oh, man.
Maybe some of the formatting got tweaked, but from what I'm seeing with my eyeballs, it's the same book. Okay. Let's go back to what Mia said, Mia's comment. "Most importantly, I did not use AI to write this book. What I can say is that the version you're referencing was edited by someone else, and I only later realized that she may have run parts of it through an AI tool during her editing process." Get a grip. Get a white knuckle grip. "When my first book, Sugar, was edited by someone different, I never received these AI allegations. Again, that's not true. Sugar was receiving AI allegations when it was published too.
Really?
Yes, all of her books have AI allegations against them, all 3 of them.
God.
Back to Mia. "The accusations started after I used this same person for my novella, which I've since pulled, and for early versions of Shy Girl. I'm not able to watch the rest of the video for my mental health, but I needed you to hear this directly. Being a Black woman in the publishing space has been exhausting. I get attacked constantly when all I'm trying to do is write. Mia." This comment has since been deleted.
Oh, boy.
I do not believe this version of events.
There's so much to unpack in this comment.
It bends the suspension of disbelief that an author who just got her first traditional publishing deal in this godforsaken year of 2026 sent a manuscript off to an editor and then never reviewed those edits and sent it straight to print. That is not, and I do feel confident speaking for every author in the world for exactly 5 seconds, that is not how writers behave, and that is not how editors behave.
No.
Editors typically make suggestions and explain why those suggestions are being made. They don't just ruffle its hair and send it off to the printers. It's a time-consuming process, and by the end, writer and editor know that text like the back of their eyelids. So I don't believe, personally, that this nameless, faceless amateur editor and her writers group is to blame for the AI-generated nature of this book. And even if that were true, if that's proven to be true at some point, Mia has a real history of not being voracious and not being mindful and not being careful with her own work. So either way, she is totally to blame.
Yes. 100%.
We're going to talk about Hachette's role in this, by the way.
Oh, I can't wait.
Hachette is not blameless here. Mia is not blameless either.
No. Again, it goes back to what you're talking about before with the covers. Small things can be indicative of big things, right? Sometimes the way somebody acts in one way is the way they act in all ways. Like, I don't think the fact that the excuse she used to defend herself with the cover being stolen seems to be almost beat for beat the same excuse she used for the editing being AI generated.
Right. It wasn't me, it was the dog.
How many writers do you know?
Too many.
Too many. How many writers that you know would ever let anybody edit something? Screenplay, novel,
This
manuscript,
is-
whatever, and then put it out without ever looking at it again.
That's the thing. Is like I send my scripts to my friends when it's ready for a passive edits.
Mhm.
And they don't go in with their computers and like delete things that I've written and oh, that
No.
line of dialogue isn't good. I'm going to write this instead. They send me an email with their points. Like, here's a point to look at. I highlighted this section. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's a joke pitch. Love you. Goodbye.
Yeah.
That's the edit. I think it works similarly with prose. I have to believe it works similarly with prose. They don't just take it and mark it up. I mean, I've worked with editors at major publications before, like Teen Vogue. They will go in and highlight things or strike through things or mention, we need a little bit more evidence if we're going to make this claim, but they don't actually remove anything without my doing so.
No.
I, the writer, actually go in and delete something if they suggest to delete it, if I stand by it.
That's the thing. If an editor went in and just started deleting stuff and adding stuff,
I'm throwing a bag of cement at their head.
what
What are you doing?
I would not use them as an editor ever again.
Especially a book.
No.
If I'm to believe that this is a human-made book
Right.
that you sat down and you toiled over and you wrote and you worked on in the late night hours of your life, and somebody just came in and went with AI, and your immediate reaction wasn't to start a fight, I don't think you wrote that book.
You don't care about it
You
enough.
clearly don't care enough. Again, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Right around this same time that Frankie's video is circulating, a burp in the wind named Max Spiro entered the conversation.
Oh boy.
Max, aside from having the most Forbes 30 under 30 to prison pipeline bio on LinkedIn I have ever seen, is the founder of an AI detection program named Pangram.
Okay.
Connor, I want you to ask me, how does this AI detection tool work?
How does this AI detection tool work, Lindsay?
Let's read directly from their website.
Oh boy.
Quote, our classifier uses a traditional language model architecture. It receives input text and tokenizes it. Then the model turns each token into an embedding, which is a vector of numbers representing the meaning of each token. The input is passed through the neural network, producing an output embedding. A classifier head transforms the output embedding into a 0 or 1 prediction, where 0 is the human label and 1 is the AI label, end quote. There's more, and this
boy.
one's a little less murky to me. Quote, we train an initial model on a small but diverse data set of approximately 1 million documents comprised of public and licensed human written text. The dataset also includes AI-generated text produced by GPT-4 and other frontier language models. The result of training is a neural network capable of reliably predicting whether text was authored by human or AI, end quote. It's AI trying to detect what is AI.
Yeah.
I'm sure this will go beautifully.
I have so many problems with this.
I feel the little Ted Kaczynski in my heart
Yeah.
rubbing his hands together and twisting his mustache.
Here's the thing, and I don't want to get on a soapbox here, but
I think you should
okay.
get up on that soapbox.
I grow increasingly frustrated at the conversation surrounding AI, especially when it comes to the detection of AI and the use of language models to read and be developed by works of literary fiction, works of nonfiction, and like Facebook, they trained their model and they got in trouble for training their model on what was essentially stolen books,
Yes.
terabytes of stolen books. And what I don't hear people talking about, and what I think is really frustrating, is they train these models on all of these novels, all of these pieces of work that have been created by humans for the last couple hundred years. And there's no conversation surrounding the idea of like politicization because of the work that it's ingesting. What kind of work are we giving into this model? How will that output be affected by the politics and ideas and general vibe of the things that we are giving it? Because there's no such thing as a book that is without politics, that is without opinion, that is without any kind of bias, right? And whatever you choose to feed a machine that eats and spits out things like the things before it, it's going to have an inherent bias in some direction, whether you like it or not.
It's been proven that large like language models like ChatGPT have biases against women and against people of color,
Yes.
against gay people, because for most of our history, those are the people that we root against. Those are the people we write against. So they do have those biases. Tech guys don't care because those people are not in the room.
Well, and it's this thing of like, it's like the over infantilization of people where it is the increasingly dumb, they increasingly dumb down what art is. It shows such an inherent disrespect for the medium that they're trying to engage with, which is they don't view novels as anything other than just words on a page that could be a story. You know what I mean? To them, story is not metaphor, it's not allegory, it's not politics, it's not reference. It's just a thing that happened on paper. That's how they view it. It's a puzzle to unwrap, and it's a literal thing that happened. Because they're so uncurious about how George Orwell might affect the machine that eats only George Orwell novels, right? It feels like there's such a big gap in the conversation that's due to these tech people not taking something like writing as seriously as it should be taken.
Well, why would they take it seriously when you could just put the 0 by the 1 and the 1 is the AI label and the output is embedding the neural network producing an output embedding into the input? That's so much more valuable, Connor.
You're so right. I hope I didn't get too soapboxy. I hope I made sense there, but yeah.
So Max Spiro is here, and he decided to make a convenient PR campaign out of this literary controversy. So he ran Shy Girl through Pangram to see just how AI generated it really was.
Okay.
And Max tweeted his findings, indicating that Pangram had proven that the book was 78% AI generated. I'll spoil the ending for you right now. These AI detection tools are not accurate.
No.
They're not a good source of information. So I think we should stop turning to tech bros for moral guidance. I don't know Max. Maybe he's a delight, but my antenna is cocked and I'm picking up on a cocksucker behavior right now.
I saw a thing on Substack that said, they put, I think, parts of Frankenstein through an AI detection tool.
Yes.
And it said 100% of the text was AI.
Because Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is one of the titles that was trained on these models trained on.
Exactly.
Mary Shelley, pick up your pitchfork. Get that monster. Let's eat some people. The New York Times ran its own investigation as well. Here's a quote. Using AI detection tools, we found recurring patterns characteristic of AI-generated text, like gaps in logic, excessive use of melodramatic adjectives, and an over-reliance on the rule of 3, end quote. We are going to talk about AI detection tools a little bit more in just a hot second, but let's close out this chapter real quick.
Okay.
On March 18th of this year, the New York Times approached Hachette with this evidence, I'm using that word pretty lightly, of AI use in Shy Girl. And that next day, Hachette pulled the book and canceled its US publication. But again, it had already sold about 1,800 copies in the UK.
Okay.
But that was pulled off its shelves as well.
Gotcha.
A spokesperson added that Hachette, quote, requires all submissions to be original to the authors and asks authors to disclose to the company whether they are using AI during the writing process, end quote. So, if Mia did indeed use AI throughout the book, and I'm under the opinion that she did, she likely would have been in violation of her contract. Again, AI-generated anything cannot be copyrighted, and traditional publishers are not worth anything if they can't copyright the work.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it does. Again, radioactive. Like the point is that publishers exist on their ability to own IP and copyright.
They're like a movie studio. If
They
you don't
are.
own the movie, then you kind of lost. Why are you here? You know?
Exactly.
Mia contacted the Times shortly after this story broke, echoing a similar sentiment to her comment underneath Frankie's video, stating that an acquaintance she trusted to edit the book must have used AI. Quote, this controversy has changed my life in many ways and my mental health is at an all-time low and my name is ruined for something I didn't even personally do, end quote. She also mentioned that she will be pursuing legal action.
Against?
The unnamed editor.
Oh, boy. My dog ate my homework.
Now,
you're so right.
Yeah. Let's give Mia Ballard a break real quick and talk about AI detection software.
I would love to.
I'm going to talk about this for 4 seconds and then we're going to get the fuck out of here. How does that sound? Sounds great to me.
Great.
Jeffrey A. Fowler investigated and wrote about the fallibility of AI detection models in an article for the Washington Post. Here's a quote from that. Before it launched, I tested Turnitin's software with real student writing and with essays that student volunteers helped generate with ChatGPT. Real quick break here. Are you familiar with Turnitin?
Not at all.
Turnitin, anybody who suffered through writing essays in college is going to recognize Turnitin. It's an AI detection tool that a lot of professors use to determine whether or not their students are plagiarizing or using AI tools to write their essays for them.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So when I was going through high school and the little bit of college that I did do, we did have teachers and professors say, don't plagiarize. There's things that we have that can detect it. Yeah.
Yeah. And professors still say things like that, but what they have is Turnitin.
Gotcha.
And Turnitin is not great. And here's why it's not great. Turnitin identified over half of our 16 samples, at least partly incorrectly, including saying one student's completely human-written essay was written partly with AI. There have been a flood of AI detection programs onto the web in recent months, including ZeroGPT and Writer. Even OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, makes one. But there's a growing body of examples of these detectors getting it wrong, including one that claimed the prologue to the Constitution was written by AI. End quote. There are endless examples online of people proving that these AI detection tools are like less than garbage juice. D'Angelo Wallace wrote a paragraph while live streaming, and AI detection tools determined that some percentage of that was AI generated.
Hilarious.
He was writing in real time, so how's that possible? I was watching his fingers dabble on that keyboard. So they are fallible because they are too built on stolen work. AI is not great at detecting AI. And I'm a very angry woman. Like, what are we learning here?
More at 11.
Great, yeah. So when is it AI and when is it just bad? How do we know when something has been written by generative AI or when something is just god-awful? Sam Criss is a writer that I talk about a lot on Substack, and I am sorry to do it again in video format, but I just can't get enough of him. He did write this article for the New York Times titled, "Why Does AI Sound Like That?" And Frankie actually mentioned it at the end of their video, which made all of my worlds feel like bowling pins. Like everything is coming together. So Sam Criss opens the article with an AI-generated paragraph. See if it sounds a little familiar. Quote, "In the quiet hum of our digital era, a new literary voice is sounding. You can find this signature style everywhere, M-, from the pages of best-selling novels to the columns of local newspapers and even the copy of takeout menus. There's 3, everybody. And yet the author is not a human being, but a ghost, M-, a whisper woven from the algorithm, a construct of code. AI-generated writing, once the distant echo of science fiction daydreams, is now all around us, M-, neatly packaged, fleetingly appreciated, and endlessly recycled. That's 3. It's not just a flood, M-, it's a groundswell. Yet there's something unsettling about this voice. Every sentence sings, yes, but honestly, it sings a little flat. It doesn't open up the tapestry of human experience, M-. It reads like it was written by a shut-in with Wi-Fi and a thesaurus. Not sensory, not real, just there. 3 again. And as AI writing becomes more ubiquitous, it only underscores the question, M-, what does it mean for creativity, authenticity, or simply being human when so many people prefer to delve into the bizarre prose of the machine? End quote. I recognize and appreciate an M-. I use the M-.
I also love an M-.
That's proper MLA format. When I was working for the school newspaper, we had to use it. So, but the amount of M-dashes in this one paragraph is a felonious offense.
You should use an M- about very sparingly.
Sparingly. Once every couple pages, maybe.
The way I had a professor explain it once was like, an M- should be treated like a parentheses. Like, you wouldn't use a parenthetical like every other sentence.
Right.
You know?
But there's also all these sets of 3s.
Yeah.
ChatGPT really likes sets of 3s because human beings really like sets of 3s.
Yeah.
So, but there's too many. In
Blank,
this one paragraph, I
blank,
think
and
there's
blank,
3
yeah.
or 4 sets of 3s.
Yeah.
That it's a list. It's a listicle. It's giving you a BuzzFeed listicle.
Well, and it also has the signature thing, which is the AI goes, it's not just X, it's Y.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Here's an example that I wrote.
Okay.
Not in this restaurant. this chair, this edge of my memory. He says something familiar, a remark, a phrase on the precipice of thought. That's me echoing the machine. You know what ChatGPT sounds like? It sounds like Kyle Mooney doing an SNL sketch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know, it's like gray water, but words.
Here's an excerpt from Shy Girl for comparison.
Okay.
I wear a pink dress, the kind that promises softness and delivers none. Its tool is brittle and sharp, brushing against my fur like 1,000 tiny teeth, a cruel lover that bites with every move. Every scratch keeps me in place, a reminder of what I am, a pet, a thing shaped for looking, for praise, for command. The bows on my pigtails pull too tight, yanking the skin and stretching my head into something neat, into something pleasing, a quiet violence made beautiful. White socks climb my legs, their frills delicate, a whisper of innocence over the bruises beneath, the ones he says shouldn't happen if the socks are there, but they always do. End quote.
Can I just say, that wasn't very good.
Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
No.
It's all over LinkedIn if you want examples from your own circle without actually using ChatGPT or Gemini or any of these. For comparison, we have that suggestion box, and sometimes multiple people will request the same subject, and the way in which people talk about the same thing is so unique to them. We had 16 different people request us to cover the Shy Girl controversy.
Yes, we sang their names at the start of this episode.
Yeah, but 16 people suggested that we cover Shy Girl, and none of them asked in the same way. Some of them wrote whole paragraphs, like basically giving us a breakdown of the beats of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just said, look into Shy Girl, you might find it interesting. Somebody else was like, oh yeah, I watched this other video and it reminded me, you might have a good take. Somebody else was like, sorry for suggesting it, you're probably getting a lot of suggestions for this. It's just, all the suggestions are so hyper specific to the exact person who made the suggestion. Some people include links, hyperlinks. Here, I wrote about this on my website. You can read this blog. And then I did. They all sound like someone. AI doesn't sound like anyone. So that's one way to detect AI writing. There's a sound to it. There's a cadence, there's use. It's not just occasional M- usage. Like, I know that's kind of become a meme at this point. ChatGPT cannot function without the M-.
Yeah.
Okay. But there's a lot of other things too. Author behavior is probably the most telling. Mia shows a real pattern of using generative AI to outsource her creativity. I've seen some people make the argument that using AI images for book covers doesn't necessarily translate to using AI text generators, and I disagree with that. I want to talk about the fight I got into on Instagram a couple weeks ago.
Oh no. You got to do a fight on Instagram?
I haven't done that, guys, since I was in high school.
Linz, what did you get into a fight about on Instagram?
AI. Okay. Because there was this thing, the news outlet posted something about a celebrity, and the celebrity was saying, basically, fuck AI and everybody who uses it.
Okay.
And I was reading the comments because I like pain. And there were a lot of people saying things like, oh, so bullying is acceptable now? Like, we're all 9 years old and we're throwing pebbles at each other's heads. Like, this isn't something that everybody should be concerned about.
Bullying who?
Bullying who? And where? And what? So this one person in particular was commenting back and forth to people. And anyway, I commented because everything on their page was AI generated. They used AI image generators to create like people, like profiles, like little characters. And then they would post pictures of those characters and post like a little blurb, like speaking as those people. And that was their writing thing. And because I'm a creep, I looked at their website because it was linked in their bio.
Okay.
And I look at this person's bio and they're like, yeah, I hit writer's block a few years ago and AI text generators like really helped me out with that. I looked up, like I created images and suddenly like I just had all these really cool ideas. And now their entire Instagram feed is just AI generated images with like writing underneath them. And that person actually had to pin a post because I guess they were getting a flood of comments because they were pretty active in this comment section. And people were going to their page being like, oh, so you like want to be a writer, but you're like AI generating everything? Like that kind of sucks. And they had to post something being like, hey, I use AI image generators, but I don't use text generators. That's crazy. And how can we possibly know that to be true? And also, why is it okay to use an image generator, not a text generator? Is that because you don't care about the image creation? Is that because writing is the thing that you're trying to do? That's the thing that you care about, so that's where you draw the line?
Right.
You know what I keep thinking about? Connor told me recently that the Japanese and the Americans had two very different reactions to the mask mandate during the pandemic.
Yes, that's true. So in Japan, wearing masks has already been kind of seen as acceptable because they had the SARS outbreak in I think the mid 2010s, early 2010s, something like that. And so the idea behind wearing a mask in Japan, from my friends that were living over there during the pandemic, was like, you wear a mask when you are sick to prevent other people from getting sick. And that philosophy didn't really translate in America because people thought if I wear a mask, I won't get sick. It'll prevent me from getting sick. And we're just talking about the cloth masks that everybody wore that you had to wear to go to Starbucks or whatever. And in America, there was a study that basically showed wearing a mask doesn't actually prevent you from getting sick, but it does help prevent spreading illness. That was what the study kind of showed. And people in America basically pointed at the study and said, see, I shouldn't be wearing a mask. It doesn't actually prevent me from getting sick.
And they stopped wearing masks.
And it to me, it marks such a difference in mentality. One is, well, if I'm sick, I don't want to get other people sick. It's polite for me to wear a mask in public if I am sick.
Mm-hmm.
And the other is very selfish. It doesn't prevent me from getting sick. Why would I wear it?
Yeah.
Right.
That same mentality is here. It's like, well, it's not negatively impacting me, so I don't care.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's going to start negatively impacting you. I'll tell you that much. And then you'll care. And it'll be too late. And I won't mourn for you. That's how I feel about that person on Instagram. Anyway, I'm never getting into another Instagram fight in my life, so I hope everyone enjoyed it. Even in that interview with Bookster that I was mentioning earlier, Mia Ballard's answers ring that AI bell. Everything comes up in threes. It's not X, it's Y. M dashes. She sounds like Sinclair, that robot octopus that Sarah Griffith is dating.
Yeah, she's mine. And I'm hers. That's not ownership like property. That's ownership like belonging. Like, you are where I live. You are what I protect. You are the thing I chose, and I'm not being quiet about it.
Right.
Like, it's unbelievable.
I was going to say, the thing with authors is in interviews, they kind of typically speak in the similar manner to how they write. And that is kind of a telltale sign if somebody's actually writing their own work, you know?
But I don't think this interview was conducted in person. This was done over time, where the questions were sent to her ahead of time and she was able to write them out.
Ah, I see.
Yeah. We're going to put up some answers from that interview. And again, compare it to Sam Chris's AI, compare it to my ChatGPT experience. It's the same voice.
Yeah.
It's the same voice. Also, the fact that she's 3 books deep and not meaningfully improving also echoes on the edges of my sharp chambers. Let's look at Otessa Moshfegh for comparison.
Okay.
Her first book, McGlue, came out in 2014. That's a novella. I haven't read this one yet, so I actually can't say if it's fantastic or not. But from what I understand, it's like the least popular Otessa Moshfegh book. So that says a little something.
Yeah, that's something.
Book. Next book, Eileen, came out in 2015. This book was pretty popular. Personally, it was my least favorite Otessa Moshfegh book I've ever read.
Mm-hmm.
Homesick for Another World was a short story collection. That came out in 2017. And here, I think you really start to hear her. You really start to feel it and see it. You're like, okay, there is something magical about this writer. Like, I'm just getting glimpses into it. It's like a curtain keeps shifting. And you're like, I think I can see who that person is, but I'm not entirely sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then My Year of Rest and Relaxation came out in 2018, and that book blew up, and I think that book is absolutely fantastic. That's really Otessa Moshfegh at her best at that time. There's a vast improvement between all of those works, and you'll notice years in between them.
Right.
She didn't write all of these books within a couple of months of each other, because you can't.
Right. I know, and that's actually a very telltale sign. He's on my mind because I've been writing something about him, but Brandon Sanderson, very kind of, he's well known for putting out a 1,000-page book every single year. That's a crazy clip to be writing books at.
Nuts. Very few authors write that quickly.
Absolutely nuts. It's also worth mentioning, and even Brandon Sanderson says this, his prose is not very complex. It's not very developed. It's not very deep. It's very simple. And because of that, he's able to put it out pretty quickly, right? That's the guy who's doing it the most, who's publishing the most possible when it comes to traditional publishing. And he's only able to put out one every year. To put out 3 in the span of like 6 months? Crazy. That's crazy output.
Yeah. So there are formatting errors galore, nonsensical similes, bright purple prose with zero substance, and not a single spelling or grammatical error.
Ah.
That cannot be explained away. Someone with this little command of the language would also misspell desperate or use affect instead of effect. But errors like that are hardly present here.
Mhm.
That's another telltale sign for me. ChatGPT is not a great storyteller, but it can spell.
It can. I mean, you think about books like something that Faulkner writes, where it's just one long run-on sentence after another, right? There's style to the way that language gets used. Not a single misplaced comma, not a single
It's
one.
a little too perfect, you could say.
Yeah.
But what about non-native speakers? What about translations? Sometimes there isn't a perfect one-to-one for a feeling or a phrase. What about weird stylistic writing or absurdism? Like, it can't. I do see the gray area that a lot of other people have been speaking about, where it's like, I think just trusting your gut is a really tough thing to sell when we're talking about taking away contracts from people.
Sure.
But again, it's not just a gut check. I think you can look at these paragraphs right here and you can look at ChatGPT and you can see clearly that there's a parallel line between them.
Yeah.
Clearly, I think. The similarities between the main character and Mia are somewhat apparent. I mean, this character has OCD and her name is Gia. So another explanation for why this book is not as fabulous as it could have been is adaptation, which we talked about with our Lindy West episode. When you are translating your real life into a work of fiction, it can be really difficult and painful and sometimes impossible to allow the you character to fuck up in a real way, not just in a fun, quirky way, like, oh my God, she's wearing a scarf that doesn't fit, but like cheats on her husband and drowns her baby, fuck up.
Right.
Making a character that you so identify with submissive to the point of gullibility or desperation or cruelty might feel like an admission to the sea of strangers that will hopefully buy your book. And we don't want strangers to think we're silly. If that's the case, then we need to create distance, make them like a different person. Patron saint of the pod, Andrew Hosherburn, talked about this idea of personal separation when formulating his third album. It was inspired by a pretty brutal breakup, but that on its own would have been too exposing, in his own words. So he superimposed that experience around the structure of Dante's Inferno. If that sounds hard, that's because it is. And that's kind of the point. Writing a book is hard. Writing a good book is nearly impossible, and generating a word bundle with ChatGPT is a waste of water. Now, I can't actually say if the character represents Mia that much because I don't know her. She isn't publicly online at the moment, and from what I can gather from the book, there isn't much color to this protagonist to begin with. Professors talk about this all the time. We heard this all the time at USC, where people will formulate these screenplays and these stories with fantastic, lush, complex side characters, and the main character is a piece of cardboard.
Yeah.
And writers, that's a real blank spot for us because I think most of the time we identify with our main character, right? Human beings are a little selfish. It's fine. We write about ourselves and the people that we know. But the main character we think is just naturally lush because we think that we're lush. So we don't bother putting it down on the page because we know us. The audience is going to know us. We don't even have to explain anything. But with other characters, you know that you have to introduce them pretty strongly, give them a physical trait, give them a clear voice, give them an arc, give them something to play with, give them an obstacle. Give them a character.
Essentially.
And we kind of miss ourselves. So that could also be at play here if I'm playing devil's advocate with myself. Dylan Garrity is an editor in New York, and he summed it up more succinctly.
Okay.
Quote, "It's 100 things stacked on top of each other. It's more about an overall feeling that you get upon reading it. That sounds kind of vague and not back-upable, but it is most of what we have to go on." End quote. And I think when it comes to detecting AI, that's really it.
Not wrong, honestly. There is a vibe to a thing.
Yes.
People of a certain age are going to really struggle with detecting.
Yes.
Right. And again, as time marches on, some people are going to get even better at detecting. Some people are going to get worse at detecting. And the language models themselves are going to get better at fooling. So it's going to be a hard kind of gut check that has to happen.
Yes.
There's never going to be a foolproof way to get around it.
Right. Like, how do you tell that this is an AI image and this is not?
Right.
Kind of hard to tell. I mean, yeah, you can point at some technicalities. You can be like, yeah, the depth is a little off. Like, that's not really logical. It's too symmetrical or it's not symmetrical enough. But really, it just comes down to gut. Like, that just doesn't look right to me. It looks a little too perfect, or it looks a little too rosy, or it looks plastic.
Right.
I don't know.
It's lacking in perfection.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you want to avoid authors who use generative AI, your stomach is the best detection model currently available. Be mindful. Comb through authors' everything. Do a little Goog if you feel so compelled, which I always do. The Authors Guild recently launched a program called Human Authored, where authors can register their book for a certification mark that affirms that no generative AI was used in the production of their work. It is an honor-based system.
I'm sure nothing bad will happen there.
Okay, everybody. In this post-Duolingo CEO, post-Epstein, post-Watergate, post-Motherless.com, post-Giselle Pellico world, asking the wider public to just trust me on this is tone-deaf and ridiculous. Look around you. We're in hell. No honor system ever again for anything.
Yeah.
I say. If I'm dictator, honor systems are going away. Just because we can't put the book into a machine and see what it thinks doesn't mean we can't think. Audiences are smarter than writers give them credit for. I say that all the time. At some point, someone somewhere will believe me.
Yeah.
They know when something does not add up. Plus, Mia herself admitted that AI was involved in the process in some way, shape, or form. So there's no argument to be made that this is a baseless witch hunt. I really did not appreciate seeing that phrase float around so haphazardly.
People are calling this a baseless witch hunt?
Yeah, they're calling it a witch hunt.
It's not. Okay, here's the thing. It's not that deep. Author used AI. That's shitty.
But what they're pushing on is like, well, how do we know that? Because like AI detection tools don't work. Because we have eyes.
Yeah.
Your eyes are the AI detection tool. You, the human, read the thing on the... And look, this is not to punish people who didn't notice. Sometimes you can't tell.
Yeah, sure.
I've been fooled by images before. Sometimes I look at something and I'm like, I can't tell if that's AI or not. I'm just getting a funny feeling.
Mm-hmm.
That's really all I'm rolling off of. But I can't actually point at any technical thing that's wrong in the physical world. It's just a feeling that you get. Like the fact that somebody somewhere got bamboozled and read this book and enjoyed it and found out later that it's AI slop. Like, you don't need to feel badly about you. It's not your fault as a reader. Like, your space was encroached upon. What I want you to be is angry. What I want you to be doing is sharpening your pitchfork. I want you to say, I have 5 minutes to myself. And the only thing I ask is that you don't shove another screen or machine into my face during this 5-minute time. Can you respect that? And this person said, no, give me money. No, give me money. I'm entitled to that.
Well, what they did...
And you should be mad about that.
What they did was even worse, because they didn't say, no, give me money. They said, yeah, of course. Of course I won't do that. Here. And then they did it anyway. They tricked them.
And here's the thing. Here's another reason this is not a baseless witch hunt. Mia could have gone to her publisher and shown them early drafts of the book. Google Docs does this. Final Draft does this. It saves earlier versions of your work that you can go back and visit. There's a play that I've been rewriting since 2019.
Okay.
Earlier than that. Holy shit. 2017. I have the 2017 version on my laptop. I can take you through all of the autosave versions on my laptop. I can show you.
Right.
So if some AI detection tool mistakenly says, hey, this is 50% AI, and my publisher is going, ooh, we think we need to drop you. You're in violation of your contract. I can go, no. I have a file on my computer that proves that I was working on this. You can see where I'm pushing commas around.
Absolutely.
You can do that.
Yeah.
Mia didn't do that. Why? Because those versions don't exist.
Exactly.
That's the only reason. It's not like Hachette just dropped her and didn't notify her. They went to her. There was a conversation. There was a meeting of some kind that took place.
Of course.
At which point Mia could have said, hey, look, here are all of my notes. Here are my binders full of character information.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the research I did. Here's the earlier draft of it. I have it. It's not AI generated. And she didn't do that. Witch hunt my ass. That's how I really feel about it.
It really, this situation really makes me, it gives me new light for the Age of Scorpius drama that happened. Because say all you want about Age of Scorpius, it was definitely written by a person.
Milo wrote that shit.
Absolutely.
Milo sat down and he put words in those binders and created a world.
Yeah.
And then went on to write a poetry book, I think.
Wrote sentences that no human being has ever come up with before.
And you know what? That's a feat. People have been writing stuff down for an awful long time. He came up with whole new sentences. I really do appreciate Milo Winter. I do. The longer time goes on, I'm like, you know what? He's kind of a hero. Like, so why does this matter? Because it matters a lot. There is a crop of people who seem to believe that having a decent idea warrants financial and social reward. The premise of this book is not half bad, but the execution would be hard and time-consuming and would come at the sacrifice of something. Free time, anonymity, money, effort, energy, space on the laptop. And why bother with all of that when we could just type that premise into an environmental disaster machine and plaster it across a few pages without even bothering to space them properly? We already did the very simple work of coming up with one idea after all. I mean, isn't that enough to be rich? Can't we just Steve Jobs it and have the hairy nerd actually build the thing? I have zero sympathy for people who rely on generative AI for the purposes of creative expression. That's an oxymoron to me.
Yeah.
This is an AI-generated creative... It's not. That actually does not exist. That's like, to me, being like a Christian atheist. Like, you actually cannot be both.
Right. People who say that I'm an AI artist.
Not a thing.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I think Hachette canceling the book's release is a great thing. That's the only silver lining in this story, is that people raged over AI use in literature so much that a major publisher ran it back.
Yeah.
That is really important to notice. There is this fantastic video on YouTube. Again, it will be linked down below by a creator called Raya. And she made a really interesting video essay about the differences in cancel culture in America versus European countries. In Sweden, there was this creator named Matilda Djerf, I believe, and she was a lifestyle influencer. Beautiful woman, came out with like her own clothing brand and was like one of the top creators in Sweden, or maybe the top creator in Sweden.
Right.
Big ass deal, Matilda. Until she was exposed for being a super abusive boss.
Oh.
And then she got canceled and she lost everything. Apparently. I've never heard of this person before.
I haven't either.
So versus, you can compare that to the American media market where we are surrounded on all sides in every format by harassers, schemers, and criminals. They run our government. They are on our TV. They are installing our refrigerator, these people. And they just get second, third, 50th chances because we forget or because we didn't care enough to begin with. I'm not really sure what that cultural thing is. I would love it if we all got a little bit more insane. And I really believe that the cultural preoccupation with politeness needs to end. Frankie has received some pushback on the platform for being overly critical or harsh or catty. And while I understand and on some level really appreciate the level of defense that indie artists so often get, I do not want us to condemn someone for being curious, active, and thorough. Frankie touches on the flaws in AI detection software and expresses some dubiousness surrounding its efficacy. And given that, I think it makes sense, and it actually is a much more responsible thing to do, to comb through the physical text itself and point out red flags that you yourself are seeing. A lot of Frankie's observations are solid. If you are at all familiar with AI speak, I don't know how you walk away from that video not suspecting some amount of AI usage. Not because you're being sold to or manipulated by Frankie, but because the words on the page are pointing at it. Everything about this book gestures towards AI. And again, reviews alleging AI were posted well before Frankie's video went viral, so the ingredients of a mindless hate campaign are just not there. This reminds me a little bit of the H. Bomber guy and James Somerton situation.
Sure.
James Somerton had been receiving some accusations of plagiarism from smaller creators. And it wasn't until H. Bomber Guy came forward with his 3-hour behemoth of a video and really smacked him out of the sky like Icarus. Those accusations were present for a long time. H. Bomber Guy just made them very popular and much more. They brought it to a much larger platform, I guess. And I think that's what Frankie did as well.
Signal boosting is a very important thing when it comes to peer review, I would
Yes.
say, especially in the artistic world, because there is no real form of peer review that we have in things like books or media other than watching and talking and being critical about the thing.
I said earlier that behavior is a language, and I want to listen to what Mia has to say. And what she is saying, what I'm hearing time and time again, is that she does not care.
Yeah.
She will use AI or stolen art to cut corners, make a little money, build up her reputation to portray herself as someone worthy of public praise and opportunity, a prolific author. Everyone wants to be Suzanne Collins at the Hunger Games premiere, catching roses, breathing in Liam Hemsworth's cologne. Nobody wants to be Suzanne Collins when she's fighting through her third act and the water bill is due tomorrow. Writing is really hard. That's why we celebrate when it is done well. Writing well often is even harder. That's why very select few people are actually career authors. Everyone else has to carve out time between jobs, while on lunch break, first thing in the morning, while the water boils, or while the kids are asleep. If they can't afford degrees, they take free classes at the library. They watch interviews with the greats. They practice every day. They get better not because they feel entitled to a career in literature and a statue on Northeast Street, but because they are curious and because they care. In a world that is increasingly dominated by screen time, we as authors have a responsibility to not impede on people's reading time and make them question whether or not they're being duped, whether they launched money into a machine or not. If you care so little for your neighbor that you steal that little piece from them, I do not think you should be met with patience, forgiveness, or understanding. There's this fantastic article on Substack called The One About AI. I'm going to link it below. It says, "My anger might look ugly to you, but at least that anger belongs to me." And I really resonate with that.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah.
I have an immediate, you know this, and visceral reaction to cowardice.
You do. You do not suffer cowards in this house.
That is unacceptable to me. In every situation I can conjure up in my imagination, it is never acceptable to behave with cowardice. Are you out of your mind? You're going to live on this planet and be a coward? Then just lay down and let whatever happens happen, I guess.
Life is too severe to be cowardly.
And both Mia and Hachette handled this with cowardice. So I'm biased, but I'm also right. Let's start with Hachette on this one. Emily C. Hughes is a prolific editor, writer, and critic, and when she was asked how could a major publisher miss these sweeping errors, because even if they didn't pick up on the fact that the book was AI generated, which they should have, but they didn't. They should have picked up on the fact that the book was not ready for print, and they didn't. Here's what she said, quote, "When a publisher picks up a previously self-published book to bring it to a wider audience, the amount of editing that happens between the self-published version and the traditionally published version is minimal. It's maybe a copy edit. And the logic there is, well, people already like this, so we don't have to mess with it too much."
Mm-hmm.
A quote from Slate says, "The biggest issue is that editors often aren't picking up on AI usage because they simply don't have time to edit books as closely as they would like to. With the constriction of the publishing industry over the past 20 years or so, fewer employees are asked to do more work and fill more roles. So there's a lot more expectation placed on editors, and they have the same hours in the day that everybody else does." End quote. You and I have watched BoJack Horseman.
We have.
Remember
yes.
that penguin character?
I do.
There's a penguin character that represents the publishing industry, Penguin Random House, I'm assuming. And he is always concerned and fighting for his life because they're about to turn off the lights.
Yeah.
And like the government is going to show up with bats and demand that he pay more in taxes.
Right. They're always on the brink of absolute disaster.
Yes.
Yeah.
There could be an element of that here. Although I do have to point sharply at the $3.5 billion in revenue Hachette made last year.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
So how is that amount of money being mismanaged to the point that editors don't have time to edit? Where's the money going? I find myself asking this question every day. There is so much money in the world. Where did it all go?
I'm going to guess C-suite level bonuses and vacations.
Okay, I'm a dictator.
Yeah.
Day one, CEO is no longer an acceptable job. You need to do something.
Yeah.
You are going to need to do something. Figurehead is not a job. Get a job.
Well,
Take a shit and get a job.
here's the thing. If a disaster like this could have been avoided by the CEO rolling up their sleeves and doing some work, then I think you need to be held more accountable than you think.
For a little personal reference here, it's been a goal of mine for about 2 years now to start a literary magazine,
It has.
but the margins are really tight. I feel like I'm trying to open a restaurant in New York City on September 10th, 2001.
Yeah.
Like, competition is tough, rent is high, and you can get juicy chicken thighs left, right, and center. So how do you stand out? How do you maintain the integrity of the thing while also paying your people and also not committing tax fraud? Could be tough. I don't think it's as tough for Hachette as it is for indie publishers, but maybe it's tough.
Again, $3.5 billion in revenue.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot
so
of
much money. So just because it's hard does not give you license to cut corners or to not do it at all. That's true for Mia, and it's true for Hachette. It's hard. Do it anyway. Or publish it at a different time. Or don't publish it at all. What was the goal with acquisition, by the way? It was already a successful self-publish. So they just wanted to not read it, not edit it, and profit off of it without doing any of the work.
That's exactly what they wanted to do.
I expect a little bit more from a top 5 publisher.
Yeah.
I do. If Hachette really cared about, quote, protecting original creative expression and storytelling, they would have read the book. You can't protect what you don't know.
No. And that's the thing. I understand the quote you read earlier. I understand the logic there. It's a pre-successful, self-published novel. There's an audience for it already that likes it, apparently. Why would we change it?
Why would you get involved is my big question.
Well,
if you're not going to add sweeping edits or add like an additional chapter or anything, guidance.
Read it to make sure that it fits your profile as an imprint, as a publisher.
Yeah.
Does this match our whole catalog?
Is this on par with Malala Yousafzai? Is this on par with N.K. Jemisin?
Exactly. It's like a kitchen. Like when I worked in the kitchens, our head chef would always say, before you put the food out, make sure you're proud of it.
Oh, I don't know why, but that made me feel warm inside.
I think it's important. If you're going to present work to the world, if someone came back and said, "Did you make this?" you should be able to stand very proudly and say, "Yes, I made this." And I don't understand Hachette's logic here. You put out a book that you didn't even read?
Clearly not.
What if somebody showed it to you? Would you even recognize it as a book that you published? That's embarrassing.
It's rough. So Hachette's mismanagement is one half of this bullshit bologna sandwich. Mia is another. When faced with consequences of their actions and public backlash, many people look for a way out. Any way out, which is natural enough. They obfuscate using their job, their lack of experience, their gender, mental illness, class. None of those characteristics forced Mia Ballard to use generative AI. And the insinuation that they did is grossly irresponsible and, I would argue, pretty derogatory. Women are not more predisposed to publish an AI slop book and demand money and praise for it than men are. Black women are just as capable of writing a brilliant and disturbing book as anybody else. Do I need to point to Toni Morrison? Do I need to point to Linda Addison? It can be done without the assistance of a computer. When we hide behind these labels, we're saying it can't be helped. And we drag innocent bystanders down with us. We talked about this a little bit in our Kate Corain video,
yes,
because she blamed those hateful, racist, awful interviews or reviews that she left on Goodreads on ADHD.
Yes.
And a lot of people in our comments section with ADHD had some feelings about that.
Yes, they did.
They're like, are you kidding me? My inability to focus on a task or like hold like one thought in my mind for a second does not make me hate Black people. Like, what kind of that's like saying, guys, we all know this. Everyone with eczema hates the gays. Like, what? Take that back.
Well, and you and I have talked about this. It's this weird, like, that defense is such a weird infantilization of the problem. You want to infantilize yourself to skirt blame and responsibility. That's what Kate Corain did
Yes.
ultimately. And it kind of sounds like Mia's doing a similar thing. We haven't gotten too far into what she said, but it sounds like that's kind of also what's happening here.
Kate Corain did it. James Somerton did it. Belle Gibson did it. Elizabeth Finch did it. Milo Winter did it.
Yep.
And Mia Ballard is doing it now. The through line is somebody fucks up
Mm-hmm.
in a public way, which I'm not going to deny. That sounds awful.
It sucks.
Blowing up in this kind of catastrophic way sounds like an absolute nightmare. I can't think of anything worse for a writer to go through.
Yes.
I have sympathy for that. Those are also consequences of your actions. If you didn't want The Guardian to write an article about your book getting canceled because of AI allegations, then you either shouldn't have used AI in the initial writing process, or you should have looked over your editor's edits.
Or not try to hide it. Here's the thing. It's not that AI was used. It's that there was so much obfuscation and lying
Yes.
about whether or not AI was used.
When we allow people to thwart accountability by pointing to their hardships, consequences fade almost instantly, and we find ourselves right back where we started. Tyler Perry, for example, had a horrible childhood, marred by the most awful, disgusting things imaginable. That does not excuse the allegations against him. It doesn't erase the damage he may have done. Demi Lovato had a pretty rough go of it too, but that yogurt controversy was ridiculous.
I'm not familiar with the yogurt controversy.
Both things can be true. Yes, unfair childhood and really dumb yogurt tweet. Both things can be true. The publishing industry is not as accessible to Black women. Yes. And Mia is not deserving of the opportunity that she received. And Hachette should have known that. I am very against infantilizing grown women. Regardless of any unfortunate circumstance befalling her, she is a grown woman who sold something and it wasn't real or it wasn't ready. I don't think we owe her forgiveness on this. To be clear, I want Mia Ballard to have a good life. I want her to go on vacations and fall in love and drink espresso martinis on the beach and think about, oh my God, the stupid things I worried about when I was 19, the way that we all do. She's a human being. I am rooting for her. I do not want her publishing books. That is valuable real estate, and I've seen and heard enough to know that my time is not safe in her hands. If we want to eliminate generative AI from the publishing world, we need to make those consequences permanent and far-reaching. We need to be stern. James Frey has been brought up as a sort of foil to Mia Ballard, as an author who isn't criticized the same way, but has used AI to generate some novels in the past. But that is not a one-to-one comparison, and here's why.
Okay.
Are you familiar with James Frey at all?
No, this isn't a Below the Fray, is it?
No. So he's an author. He wrote a book called A Million Little Pieces about his journey to sobriety, and it got on Oprah's book list, which means, bam, it blew up
Yeah.
like the sky on 4th of July.
It's pretty awesome.
Wow. But then it came out that he manufactured a lot of that story and made a
Oh.
lot of stuff up.
Yikes.
So he had to go on television with Oprah and eat crow in front of her. It's kind of awesome.
That's rough.
And he's just been living in a vape cloud of controversy ever since. But he has since started publishing books that are heavily generated by AI, and he's very loud and proud and shameless about it.
Okay.
That's the difference. Readers can decide for themselves if they want to engage with James Frey's work or not. That puts the power back in the hands of the consumer where it belongs. Same thing with Sarah Griffith and her weird AI octopus boyfriend. They lead with the AI generation, which I think should be a felony. You should not be able to write books with AI. I don't want them available on the market, but at least there's a sticker on the book that says this is what we did. I don't think Mia Ballard is being held to a different standard. Shy Girl is the first book from a Big Five publisher to be pulled over alleged AI use. We've never been here before. We're figuring this out in real time. And she's not copping to it. That is the difference. That leaves readers feeling tricked and cheated and confused. They showed up to support this author and she kind of bamboozled them.
Yeah.
That's really hard to forgive or forget.
Again, it's not about using it. It's about the lying portion of it.
Yes.
I don't want to interact with this thing.
No.
You have tricked me into interacting with this thing.
Yes.
You know, here's the thing. I don't drink. You know this about me. I've never had a drop of alcohol in my life.
He's literally 6 beers in, so I don't know what he's talking about.
If I went to a bar with some of my friends and someone handed me a drink and said, oh yeah, here's like an iced tea or a Pepsi or something. And they had spiked it with vodka. I would have a big problem with that. I'd have a very big problem with that.
You would have two very big problems because I would be going to federal prison.
The problem isn't that they gave me alcohol. The problem is that they lied about what they were giving me. And maybe that comparison is too extreme. I will accept that comparison might be too extreme. But the problem is not that Mia has used AI in the past. It is that they are lying about it.
Yeah, I agree.
And then
that's the difference.
We don't get to move on to the conversation. If we get to have...
No. People
what
play
I mean?
whataboutism, and whataboutism is a really stupid game to play.
It is.
What about James Frey? Yeah, James Frey uses AI. That should also be condemned, and he's loud about it. So
Right.
readers aren't buying his books and being confused and like, oh, I thought this was like really his thing. He's like, no, I use AI to generate these books, and I'm going to keep doing it.
Yes.
Coral Hart does the same thing. There are authors who use AI very brazenly, and that allows readers to kind of circumvent them at the bookstore.
Mm-hmm.
But if you tell readers, no, this is entirely human made, and then it turns out that's not true, that's a problem.
Exactly. And the conversation, the meta conversation never gets to move past how do we determine who gets to write what's going on? How do we figure out the thing? It never gets to move to the, hey, we shouldn't be doing this. Hey, maybe this isn't a good idea, right? We get stuck in this kind of Mickey Mouse bullshit.
Like, well, what about this guy? What about this other person who does it? All of them are wrong. How about that? They're all wrong,
Yeah.
including Mia Ballard.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about Conan O'Brien for a hot minute. Conan is always relevant. Conan has told this story. Actually, no, it was, okay, I'm sorry, everybody. I have to bring him up. Louis C.K. Just very briefly. Louis C.K. is a comedian, and he's since been canceled for sexual harassment. But for a time, he was working with Conan back in the 90s and early 2000s when Conan was the host of the Late Night Show.
Oh, okay.
And he was a writer on that show. And Conan was known to be a really great boss. He was very pro-comedian. Like, he would get weird with it. He would let his writing staff get experimental. He would take risks on things. One time, Louis C.K. pitched a joke, and Conan was like, I don't think that's going to do well. And Louis C.K. like bullied him over it, actually bullied him over it. He's like, you don't want to listen to me, and it's because you're a coward, and you suck, and you're awful, and blah, blah, blah. And finally, Conan relented. He was like, fine, okay, I'll say the joke. We'll do it. And they went to air, because this is a live show, and Conan said the joke, and no one laughed.
Oof.
And then that was broadcast
Oh,
across the
man.
world. And Conan just had to take that joke that belonged to Louis C.K., that silence, and he just had to take it on the chin.
Oh, yikes, dude.
Conan had to do that because it's Conan's name on the show. Conan is the host. So he doesn't get to stand up there and be like, oh, no, guys, I didn't write that joke. That wasn't me. That was my writer, Louis. I'm going to bring him out. He can face the silence. I'm going to go back and get a Diet Coke. I'll be right back.
Right, exactly.
It's his show. So everything goes back to him. If there's a horrible executive producer who's just running around harassing people and Conan knows but doesn't do anything about it, that's on Conan. Conan is just as culpable, in my opinion. That's how I feel about this. Mia Ballard's name is on the cover. She claimed it when it was popular. She should claim it when it's not. It was picked up by a Big Five, yes, but after it had been self-published, that means that she, theoretically, had everything to do with this book. When an audience reaction doesn't go your way, you don't get to throw the blame and shame at your editor or at your publisher. They didn't write it. You are the writer, theoretically. So collect your flowers, thorns and all. Part of being an author is standing by your work, even when it's not popular. That's not the fun part, but it is a big part. Most authors don't get paid or famous from their written work, so all of that support has to come from you. That writing, before people like it, is really like a helpless baby in a snowdrift. And this is something else that really tips me off that generative AI may have been used to write this book. The speed with which Mia abandoned it. The moment it wasn't cool anymore, she ran. Milo Winter didn't even do that. He blamed his editor, which is not fair and not cool, but he still said, that's my book, that's my world, I love this thing more than anything else, I want to make this great.
That is such a good point, Lindsay. That is such a good point. And I don't want to, you keep going. I want to say something. I don't want to cut you off at the pass here.
Because when you spend that kind of time and energy on something, you are not so quick to launch it off into space. During the fires, many of my neighbors did not evacuate. They had spent decades repainting, fixing the gutters, laying new bricks, and they weren't going to just let that be swallowed by some stupid Con Ed caused fire. So they stood on their lawns and fought the fire with their garden hoses. Because that's what people do. They stand by their work. Generative AI is not loyal to anything, and neither is Mia Ballard, because I don't believe this is her work. A decent premise does not entitle you to a life in literature. People who believe that are advertising how little effort they put forward, how little they care about the final product, and they demand recognition and rewards for that lack of effort. Tech bro CEOs do the exact same thing. Everybody wants to be the middleman who takes a long cut along the way. Not the creator, not the conscious consumer, not the DJ or the dancer. On May 8th, 1886, Dr. John Stith Pemberton invented Coca-Cola.
What?
I have a point, stick with me here. It was originally a syrupy medicine meant to treat headaches and hangovers. And a pharmacist figured out that if you poured it over sparkling water, it tasted really good, and bada boom, an American icon was born. For the first half of the 20th century, Coca-Cola enjoyed its #1 spot in American hearts and mouths. But then the upheaval of the 1970s rolled along, and with it came Pepsi. Coke's growth started to slow significantly, and by 1980, the Pepsi generation had surpassed the Coke generation in supermarket sales for the very first time. This gap only widened when, in 1982, Pepsi partnered with perfectly unblemished celebrity Michael Jackson. So Coke decided they needed to shake things up, and as a result, everything exploded. In 1984, they changed the formula for the first time in their 98 years of life. This new Coke was said to be sweeter and smoother than the old stuff, and in taste tests, it actually beat out Pepsi.
Huh.
So on April 29th, 1985, New Coke was launched. With a new look, a new name, and a new, equally unbesmirched spokesperson, Bill Cosby.
A new explosion of wonderfulness in your mouth. Go ahead, try it. It's just how you feel.
According to the branding journal, quote, the taste was similar to Diet Coke, but sweetened with corn syrup. Market researchers and pollsters were confident it would be a success, end quote. People hated it immediately.
Oh, really?
As soon as that change was announced, people flew into a frenzy, filling their basements with cases of OG Coca-Cola. The office was also getting a lot of phone calls, 4 times more than the average. Protests broke out in Atlanta. People were carrying signs that said, "Our children will never know refreshment." A man named Gay Mullins made himself the sort of de facto president of OG Coke, stating, quote, "How can they do this? They were guarding a sacred trust. Coca-Cola has tied this drink to the very fabric of America. Apple pie, baseball, the Statue of Liberty. And now they replace it with a new formula and they tell us to just forget it? They have taken away my freedom of choice. It's un-American," end quote. Food critic Mimi Sheraton wrote in a Time magazine review that, quote, "New Coke seems to retain the essential character of the original version. It tastes a little like classic Coca-Cola that has been diluted by melting ice," end quote. Coca-Cola headquarters are getting 8,000 calls a day. Sales plummeted, and Pepsi was cashing in their checks, rolling around in that Michael Jackson money. So, 79 days after the initial launch of New Coke, the Coca-Cola Company announced that the original formula would be restored. Hallelujah. And Americans all across the country celebrated. This was headline news, people. New Coke was advertised to teens for a while, but was eventually discontinued entirely in 2002. Coke is back to dominating the market, by the way. I don't know anyone who drinks Pepsi, aside from Beyonce. New Coke is one of the most famous marketing failures in history. It was supposed to make Coke more competitive in the soft drink market. It was supposed to earn a few people a lot more money, and it did not do that because consumers had an emotional attachment to the original thing and protested loudly and annoyingly enough that the corporation relented. On some level, it's not so much about the product as it is about the brand. Coca-Cola had become America, and people in 1984 did not want to reformulate America. It might be time to ask ourselves, what is the brand of literature And how does AI threaten to reformulate it? What is so sacred to us that we are willing to defend even when it's inconvenient and uncomfortable? For me, it's human-to-human conversation through time. That's why I love books. I am able to read words on a page penned by a woman born 300 years before I was even a breath of a thought. I can see handprints on the cave wall and know that though we are separated by generations and every day pulls the fabric of time just a little bit higher, we are the same stuff. We fear, we love, we protect, we defend. Things are precious and things are dangerous. If I were to put my handprint right there and just smudge it up a little, there would be no perceptible difference. And I am 68,000 years away. While I was working on this episode in a coffee shop, I overheard a group of men talking about one of their son's behavioral issues. It had gotten him kicked out of school pretty recently. And the father said, and I am quoting directly, quote, "I put his symptoms into ChatGPT and it told me not to worry because I'm a present enough father, proven by the fact that I wrote down my concerns. Sometimes that's the best I can do." End quote.
That's deeply concerning.
Gay Mullins would disagree, and so do I. When it comes to publishing and AI companies, we can afford to be a little more unhinged. I'm talking Yoko Ono screaming into a microphone in the Met unhinged. Be annoying. We used to be a country that threw shoes at the president. Bring that back. When consumers get ruthless, corporations go broke, and then they have to listen to you. I'm going to give you one more story from my own life. In my old apartment, I had blinds in my room. You'll recall the blinds.
I do recall the blinds.
The day I moved in, those blinds were broken.
Yes.
And it got to the point where they were just falling down. I would look at the window and the blinds would fall down. I tried to open the window and the blinds would fall down. I tried to hang up Christmas lights and the blinds would fall down.
These
and
blinds are tough. Yeah.
Men were working on the roof across the way and they could see into my room. Titties out. Titties ass out.
Yes.
And I kept calling my landlord and I kept sending him texts, and I was living with my mom at the time and she'd be like, "Oh, I'm a little softer. Maybe he'll listen to me. I'll go in." And he never came by. He never fixed the blinds. I just never had blinds in my room. And then on my, 27th birthday, my 28th birthday, I had a little mentee bee and the blinds fell down.
Yes.
One blind fell down. And I ripped the rest of them off of that window. And I went down to the landlord's door and I just dumped them right in front of him. And I wrote a Post-it note saying, "I need blinds now." And you know what I got by the end of the week? New blinds that never fell down again.
You got them the next day.
It pays to be a little crazy and a little insistent. I know that none of us want to come across as Karens. All of us want to remember that everyone else is living a life and it's complicated. Give people a little bit of a break. It's tough out there. There is room for that, for sure. There is also room to be like, "Hey, wake up.
Yes.
Get a grip. Get it together. We don't do this. We don't want generative AI in literature. So I believe in that so much. I'm going to poop on this step. I am going to make your life so inconvenient that you will have no choice but to listen to what I'm saying to you." So if you don't want AI to touch your books, your films, your Instagram page, I encourage you to go wacko mode. Hachette should be aware that if they do this, acquire a self-pub without offering proper editing services and ensuring that the book is actually human-made to the best of their ability, the audience will not spare them. You know what they say in France?
What do they say in France?
Il était tombé.
I
Let
don't
the
speak-
heads roll.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Yes.
When it comes to authors, that is a harder equation to break. They're not office buildings and 401ks. They are soft, fallible human beings. Some level of public shaming might be important. People who are so lazy and entitled and afraid and uncurious and careless that they refuse to think for themselves and outsource the process to a chatbot, that should be a point of contention. That should be something that gets said in your friend group and you go, "That's weird. That's really weird. That makes me see you in a different way.
Yeah.
I thought I loved you. And you know what? I'm questioning that love I have for you right now because you don't think for yourself. And if you can't think for yourself, I can't love you. Because love is not between two hearts, it's between two minds." I just came up with that. Copyright.
Wow. Dropping heat off the dome.
I have seen it argued, though, that shame only causes embarrassment, which doesn't necessarily change the behavior. It only makes it secretive. And there may be some truth to that. What does not work is Midwestern politeness and patience and please, baby, try again. When facing giant corporations and their fat, fucking wallets. It never works to be polite. Cut to the heart. Cut off the money drip. Be loud. Be annoying. Demand better. If you don't want corn syrup in your Coke, pick up a sign and yell about it. Throw a Nike. If we care, then we care, and we should care obviously and obnoxiously. This cancellation is the first of its kind. I doubt it will be the last. We will need to be armed and ready next time the robot wolf comes to the door. And that's Shy Girl.
I think you made a really good point at the end there, which is about care. A sentiment that we got on as a comment, and I think one that's echoed throughout this whole AI era that we're going through as a society is, if an artist didn't care enough to make it, then why would I care enough to read it or to engage with it or to look at it?
That sentiment makes its rounds every time somebody says, I asked ChatGPT how to make a great recipe.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if you don't care enough about it to make it,
yeah,
I don't care enough about it to read it.
Exactly. And care is the word here, right? Care. Give a shit. Wake up and give a shit.
About something. If it's not literature, then don't write a book. You don't have to write a book.
Yeah.
There are other ways to get the respect of your peers.
Well, and not even on the people creating this stuff, but on the people engaging with it, on the
Yes.
audience, right?
Care.
Care. Be an audience member that cares. Be a reader that cares. Be someone, like, walk through the world caring. It's so important. Like, life is such a vital thing. It's such an important thing to care about while you're here.
Joanna Kimber made a really good point in her video on this subject where she mentioned, Me Ballard got outed for these AI allegations. Hachette canceled the book, and then Hachette was getting a lot of heat from people being like, well, how can you cancel somebody's contract if you don't have proof? And Joanna was like, what do you want? You don't want AI in books.
Yeah.
And you don't want bad books to get published. But you also don't want contracts to get canceled if AI is being used. Like, either way, it's ugly. Like, AI makes things a little bit uglier. We're going to have to get really comfortable with that really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It's ugly when an author uses AI and lies about it and gets a book published anyway. And it's ugly when a contract gets canceled. Those are the two options.
You know what's also ugly? Someone who gets expelled from university for plagiarizing. That's ugly.
That's ugly. So is theft.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts, Connor?
Wow, that was a crazy journey. I've seen you working away at this episode for the last week or so. I can't believe how much you had to say. This is such a deep topic. I don't know. You've talked so much about it, and I'm on board with everything you've said so far. I think
you're very supportive.
I'm very supportive because I think you're making all the right points, which is this whole. It feels, as an artist, it feels insane to be going through the AI era right now because it feels like so many of these answers are really easy. Why are people not just using the answers that are really easy?
Yeah, turn it off. That's what I want.
What are we doing?
AI comes in, everybody goes, oh no thanks, we don't want that. Turn it off.
It's not ready.
No.
It's not even close.
No, it can't do basic math equations. I'm not kidding.
I don't know. You squeezed the lemon on this one. You really got the juice out.
I hope I did. I hope I made pull up their names again.
Are we going to sing again?
No.
I got to warm up this instrument I got.
Brooke, Anne, Blue Cherry, Chris, Juan, Mackenzie D, Lizzie, Robin, Maria, Kayaza, Kayla, and Alexa. I hope I made you proud. I hope that I squeezed the lemon for you.
I hope it was worth it.
And on that note, we really want to thank our coffee members.
Yes.
Who are showing up on the screen right now. And because of their generous support, we are actually able to do these videos. We're able to pour a lot of research and time and editing chops into these episodes. So we really appreciate all the extra support that you guys give us over there. We have a really exciting new mini episode that's dropping in a couple of days, probably.
Yes.
So get excited for that. I'm very excited to share those new mini episodes with you. We've been working on them. So if you're interested in mini episodes, you can go over to our coffee and buy Connor and I a coffee. And if you become a Flemish giant, you get to see mini episodes. So
yes, it is.
You can check that out. That's
very
for you.
Thank you to our coffee members. Thank you so much. Also, thank you to you watching this video. If you like this video, give it a like. If you want, subscribe. We post videos like this every Wednesday. And subscribing is the easiest way to support us. It's free, after all. Thank you so much for watching. And one last note is, this was a video topic suggestion from our suggestion box.
So if there's a topic you want us to cover, put it down in that box and we just might do it, my guy. I'm Lindsay, and this has been Girlfriend Explain now, right now. It's timely.
And I'm Connor, and I feel thoroughly explained to in a timely and right now manner.
I'm glad.
She's Lindsay, I'm Connor, and we'll see you next week.
I'll see you in 2 seconds.